Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to sit down, we're going to look at the aftermath of the Livingston game, we're going to talk about all the fallout and especially some of the conversation that's been going on social media. Not just social media, but the mainstream media. We've seen pundits, former players, everybody else come out and give their say as to what Celtic are and where they are and who they are at the minute after dropping points at home to Livingston at the weekend. Some people throwing in the towel completely, some people saying it's okay, it's just a blip in the road. Well, I'm going to talk about all my opinion in this video and hopefully my beer's back by the end of it. Right then, let's just get into this video. This is one that I've been trying to contemplate how to make in my head and how to go about it, because there's such a weird divide right now, it feels like, on social media off the back of that game against Livingston. Now, I could have sat down and made a video on this yesterday. I could have got the guys together and done a kind of impromptu podcast, but I thought I'd let the dust settle. I thought I'd let the hangover settle. But more importantly, I wanted to see how things settled amongst the support over the kind of last 24 hours. When Rangers won 6-1 yesterday against Motherwell, it kind of blew up this conversation on social media as to how Celtic have sort of, I don't want to use the word bottled it, but certainly blew a big chance to keep the gap close and allowed Rangers the chance to pull 4 points ahead of us. Like, if we won our game on Saturday, we would have been much closer to Rangers, and we could have been in a position where heading into the international break, who knows, we could have been top of the table. But things didn't pan out that way. We drew with Livingston, we missed that 90th minute penalty, and Rangers go on to beat Motherwell 6-1, which was always going to happen after we drew with Livingston. I think there was a massive opportunity there for Rangers. They've seen that opportunity and they went out and they played football that allowed them to get a convincing win, and a win that has sort of shaken the nerves of some people in the Celtic support. Now, this is where the big conversations came now. There's been sort of two schools of thought since that game finished yesterday and Rangers went 4 points clear at the top of the table. I've seen a lot of people on this side that can be looked at as naive and saying, you know, they're not going to be there forever, it's only 4 points, we'll gain it back. You know, there's that kind of side of things. And then there's another side where I feel like people have thrown in the towel altogether. People have threw it in, they've chucked it, they've said, oh, that's it, the game's a bogey. I have seen people go that far. I've seen people throw in the towel and say that it's done. Look, we're in the 1st of November, right? There's only 12 games been played this season. We have a long way to go before I think we can start calling things. 4 points is something that can be overturned. But I can understand how the other side of things might be looked at as naive. That is very understandable. You could say that it's naive to suggest that we're going to have to trust Rangers to go and drop points or collapse at some point in the season. I do my best to come on this channel and focus on Celtic and Celtic only. This video is going to be talking about a title challenge. So it's going to be talking about two teams and going for that title. But I think I'm somewhere in that middle ground just now where you've got to hope that there's a bit of Rangers falling at some hurdle. But at the same time, we cannot ignore this kind of psychological impact that it has on the team and has on Celtic with going into an international break behind, and how, I don't know if I would say it's more negative for Celtic or more positive for Rangers. That is massive to be ahead at an international break, especially this being the last international break until I think sometime next year. There is a massive advantage there, and you can't ignore that. That is proven in football that these things matter. It's proven in Scottish football these things matter. But I think that Celtic are a team who have showed steady improvement. We have showed an improvement from where we were at the start of the season. We've been getting better and better. And I trust in Ange Postecoglou and I trust in the team to recover from being only 4 points behind. I think this notion of throwing in the towel right away is rather stupid. Look, I'm not going to say it's going to be easy this year, but I think a lot of people, and as much as we hate to admit it, I hate Rangers as much as the next Celtic fan. That's just, it goes without saying. It's the same on both sides. We all hate each other, right? But I think that there has been this refusal to acknowledge that Rangers are back in a position where they're challenging. They just won the league last year. You know, they didn't lose a game on track to doing so. There has been this refusal to admit that Celtic are now in a time period where Rangers can challenge for the league title, and they'll challenge over a longer period of time. Long gone are the days where we were top of the league by 10, 20 points. You know, that's pretty much done now. I think those days of teams winning the league that convincingly are going to be few and far between. I don't imagine we're going to see that as often as what we did over the course of that 9 in a row period. Which is a shame. I'd love for it to come back, I would. But Rangers now have got themselves into a position where they are going to be credible title challengers and title winners. So I think that there has to be this aspect in the Celtic support that realises, yeah, okay, it's not going to be as cut dry. And this season, right, this is one thing that's been bugging me about when seeing people throw in the towel and all the rest of it. My expectation every single year for Celtic is always the same. Win the league title. I want Celtic to win the league every single year. I don't like to see us lose it to Rangers. I don't want us to lose it to Rangers, and we shouldn't be losing it to Rangers because we're Celtic. We have a mentality and a habit of winning, and we've been showing that over the past decade, past 20 years even. I want that to continue. But one thing that we have to be open and honest about in terms of this season was the rebuild job was going to be massive. It was going to be huge. There was never going to be an easy route for Ange Postecoglou to win the league title. The job that had to be done by him was get Celtic back into a position where they are close with Rangers. Last year they blew us out the water. This year it was about getting back to the point where we're not lying down to anybody. And Ange has done a job at that so far. We're 4 points within touch of Rangers, whereas last season, don't even want to talk about how far we were behind. But the rebuild job was huge, and I think we were all saying, and I was saying it on this channel multiple times, that if Ange Postecoglou wins the league this season, it would be miraculous. It would be massive, and he'd already put himself down as a huge credit in the history of this club and an impressive start to his managerial tenure. Because winning the league this year was always going to be an uphill battle for Celtic. With the position we were in, losing our best players, having to bed in new players, having to sign so many new players. Everything was going to be a challenge to come back from last season. And I honestly still believe we can win the title. I'm still sitting here in this chair confident as I was before the Livingston game that we can challenge for this title this season. We are a good enough side. We've showed that. We've still got 9 points to play for against Rangers. I think that Rangers have been someone who might have been their best performance this season so far this weekend. They're a team that haven't been amazing this season. Celtic haven't been amazing either, but we've certainly showed we are good enough. So I don't think there's any need for us to throw in this title. I hate that side of the argument I've seen with people throwing it in and just going, nah, that's it. We've gubbed it because we've dropped points to Livy, we've gubbed it. Yes, it's embarrassing because it's games we should be winning and we should have walked away with 3 points in that game. Livy made life hard for us, that's just the reality of it, and we walked away with dropped points. But throughout this entire season, on both sides, Celtic and Rangers, as it has already been shown up to Matchday 12, we are going to be dropping points left, right and centre this season. Both of us. And I think we've got a long and bumpy ride. If you want to chuck it after 12 games, I don't suggest watching the rest of the season. This international break, once again, just like the last one, I said this about the last international break, but this one comes at another perfect time, I think, for Celtic. We really need this. Look, 2 big games. The tone might change altogether after these next 2 games. I don't know. We've got Ferencváros on Thursday. We've got Dundee at the weekend. We could be talking in a completely different tone and sense after this weekend. We could be further behind with Rangers. Rangers could drop points. We could lose in Europe badly. You don't know what's going to happen. I've not got a crystal ball at the end of the day. But this international break comes at a really good time for us because Rogic is out with an injury that's going to see him out for a couple of weeks. Starfelt's now out for a couple of weeks. Forrest has just returned and definitely needs more time. We're closer to Julian being back from injury. This international break has probably felt at the perfect time so that we aren't missing players like Rogic and Starfelt, especially for the next good few games. We're only going to be missing them now for a European game and a game against Dundee at the weekend, which once again Celtic should be winning. If we had a run of games over the next 2 weeks that's seen us play midweek weekend, and we were missing Starfelt and Rogic for all of them, I would feel a lot less confident in this position, this moment in time. But I feel like this break will allow us to regather and regroup and gain fitness for everyone who needs it, and then we'll come back hopefully in the same way that we did from the last international break. We came back, we were firing, we were strong. And I think that this could be a little bit of a wake-up call for us to do it again. And hopefully, Rangers come back and they drop points again. That's just the ideal world, but we'll need to wait and see. The video kind of comes off the back of that social media reaction when it finished at Fir Park yesterday, but there's also been a couple of pundits. I mean, Chris Commons is actually out sort of championing Celtic for a change in the papers. He was out saying that Celtic have blown the title challenge wide open. They've shown over the past few weeks with the improvement that they can compete. And in Chris Commons' words, he branded Rangers wobbly. So he certainly believes that there's a Celtic side that's good enough there to challenge a wobbly Rangers. I still believe we're good enough at the moment in time. I think that 0-0 is disappointing, and the knee-jerk reaction was, at the time, it undoes the good work in the games prior. You sit down, look, we're still in a good run of form at the moment. that was disappointing. It was the game we should have been winning out of all of them. But I think that, you know, we're still in a very positive place. From the place that we were, you know, a month ago. A month ago we were down in the dumps. We were talking about how we'd lost 3 games in the opening, however many of the season. Yes, we were very poor at the weekend. We need to learn how to beat these teams that play a low block. We need to learn how to break these teams down. And we will over time. It's something that Ange Postecoglou will figure out. I'm very confident of that. But I think that we should be, as fans at this moment, and this is, people will be sitting thinking to themselves, is he alright? Is Ryan alright? Because usually I'm the pessimist. Usually I'm the one sitting. In the last year I've been sitting here giving it fucking stinking every single video, every week. But over the past couple of weeks, I feel like Celtic has been something to be positive about, and Ange Postecoglou has shown something to be positive about. So I'm confident for us going and still going this season. Look, until there's a real cause for concern, then I'll begin to worry. It is disappointing that we drop points, and there is a psychological aspect of being behind the international break that will give Rangers a bit of a kick, and it might halt us a little. But I'm strong-minded right now, just like I think the squad is. I think that the squad have shown enough confidence and enough improvement to suggest that they are not going to fall to the areas or the places that they did last season under Neil Lennon. I think this is a stronger bunch of lads, and I think this is a team who's ready for the challenge, as long as it may last. But we'll go back to winning league titles soon anyway, who worries? Right, that'll do. Like and subscribe. Let me know your opinions in the comments below. I know this is one that people are kind of 50-50 on just now, and as I said, I'm in that kind of weird middle ground where I can understand people are upset and angry after the game. I certainly was post-match, and I can understand people who, you know, I think it's just take it with every game as it comes. There's nothing to get over excited or overwhelmed about. You know, let's just take it as it comes. The next 2 games are massive, so let's turn our attention to those as they come. And see you all next time.